Yes, class. Am I audible to all? Aisha, Hafsa, Nabila, Sanidhi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, yes, good evening, class. This poly assignment was left from last week. And yesterday I have given you the assignment of the tension and free body diagram. So that we'll discuss in the next week. Once we start with friction, some assignment of friction also I'll try to give it today. So in this assignment, any particular doubt?
No, ma'am.
Aisha, Nabila, because Nabila and Sanidhi have given it today, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Aisha has given, Ma also gave. Hafsa, your assignment? Hafsa, you didn't join yesterday, no? Hafsa?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What happened, Hafsa?
Ma'am, I was not in home. I was outside.
Okay, last assign. Last question I didn't give it in the assignment. Fifth question I haven't given it in the assignment. I think I just fourth one. Fourth one let me discuss. Because this had the inclined plane, no? And inclined planes we haven't discussed. So that's why I didn't give this. Fourth question, yes, let me discuss this. Three bodies A, B, C, each of mass M, are hanging on a string over a fixed pulley as shown in the figure. What are the tensions in the strings connecting bodies A to B and B to C? So this means two different separate strings are there. Now, when we were discussing pulley problems, that time I told you that the string will be the same. So see, this is the same string, but because they had to connect one more mass, so they have taken another string with whose tension is T2. Now see, if I draw the free body diagram here, let's say A. This is body A, mass is M. Here T1 will be there, downwards, mg will be there, and this is moving up with acceleration A. This is the first one. B, if I draw, this also, okay, all the three have the same mass, M. T1 is and mg is down, and this is moving with an acceleration of A. What do we have to find out? We have to find out T1 and T2 and come to the body C. I'll do one pulley-based problem, a similar pulley-based problem in today's class before starting with the pseudo forces concept. So this is M. Here T2 is there. There's one more thing. Here, if T2 is there, so see, this side also T2 will be acting. Action, reaction. If from this side T2 is acting, so where will this T2 go? It will be reacted by the block on the string. T2 is the force, T2 is the tension on the block B also. So here a T2 will also come. And here mg downwards is A. This is what we have. So look, from the first one, the equation that we'll get will be mg minus T1 is equal to ma. From this equation will be mg plus T2 minus T1 is equal to ma. Okay. And from here, mg minus T2 equal to ma. So three equations are there and two variables are there. So we can just equate any of it. If we equate these two, they are also the same. You can equate these, just tension will come in terms of M and A only. M, A and V. The answer will be in terms of M. And you just have to simplify it. Like see, T2's value is this. So what you do? You can say T2 is equal to mg minus ma. So put this value here. That becomes mg. Now put T2 plus mg minus ma minus T1 is equal to ma. Look, you'll just have two equations with two variables then. Means you'll just get the value of T2. I'll show you it here. This becomes C2 mg minus ma minus T1 is equal to ma. So from here, this is one equation. And look, this is one equation. This is one. And this is one. This is the second one. So these two can be equated easily to get the value of T1. From here, mg minus ma. And here also we can get if we put in the values. So you can equate both of these. Mg minus T1 will be equal to 2 mg minus Ma minus T1. So from here you will get the variable T2. Okay, the variable T1, sorry, not T2 here. And T2 is already mg minus Ma, that is mg minus A. T2 will come in one line. Now got it, Aisha? Okay. All right then. Okay. Let's move to the classes question. And it's a similar question. These kinds of questions will be clarified there. We stopped at this point. Just see when the screen is sharing. Are you able to see OneNote screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me show you one more question. Till here we have completed few questions we practiced yesterday. So see, this is one of the systems. Okay, this is one of the questions. It has given the mass of M1 block, M2 block, M3 block. This is the figure as it is from the question. And it says, see, all the three strings are different this time. This is different, this is different, this is different. There you just had two tensions in that question. Here you have three tensions. Okay, T1 is there, T2 is there, and T3 is there. So three of the variables you have to find out. But it's very easy. If you start from T3, don't start this question from T1. I'll tell you why. Because see, when you just have T3, like in the question that we discussed, let me show you this question. This question that we discussed, if you see here, when two masses are getting attached, the equations are increasing. Look, why? Because the number of forces are increasing. When I talk about this B block, here tension due to this is acting due to its own individual string. And because it is connected to one more string, so this tension T2 will be reacting also. So you will get more number of equations, more number of forces when they are connected. So whichever has the free end where you see no string is connected. See, if I started with this or if I started with this, the answers were very simple because they weren't connected. If I connect one more block here, so its tension will also be acting. Got it? So always try to start from the free end. Like this question also which we are discussing, you should start it from the free end. I'll show you. Look, M1 is there now. See, T1 will have all the reactions due to M2, and M2 will have the reactions of M3. So in short, T1 will have all the reactions of M3, M2 together, while T3 means this block M3. This doesn't have any other reaction to hold. It just has this tension force. Did you get this point, class? Why to start from M3?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So see what we'll do, we'll make up the free body diagram. It says whole system is accelerating with acceleration of 2 meters per second square, and then this whole system is stationary. First, let us find out the tension. And it is saying in the first part, whole system is accelerating upwards. So we'll also keep in mind upwards because stationary one is very easy to solve. Now look how you proceed. Okay, we see that this is the easiest one to target. Let us try with this. What we'll do, we'll draw the free body diagram. This is M3. Instead of writing M3, M1 and all, it's better if you straight away write the masses that are given. Okay, so here what's the mass given? Here M3 is given as 3 kg. So I'll be writing this as 3. Okay, the individual masses I have written it separately. M1 5, M2 2, and M3 3 kg. So this is 3 kg. Now we know a T3 tension is acting here downwards. What is acting? Mg is acting. And it says according to the question, whole system is accelerating upwards with an acceleration A, and the value of acceleration is 2. Whole system is accelerating upwards with this acceleration. This is the case. Now quickly tell me equation. What will be the equation formed here? One of you tell me. Yes, Aisha, let's start with you.
T minus mg is equal to A.
Yes. T3 minus mg is equal to what?
2 meter per second square.
is equal to 2. No,
Oh, sorry, MA.
MA, 3 into 2. So MA. So right now, this is T3 minus mg is equal to m into A. From here, we can get the value of T3 directly. Let us calculate it, okay? So T3 minus mg. Now this is 3, this is 2. This is 3, and here let's take g as, okay, it has said to take g as 9.8. So this will be 3 into 9.8 is equal to, this will be 3 into 2. So around 30, this would be T3 minus, I am writing this as 30, but it would be a little less, 27 point something, 27.7 something will be there. And this is 6. So T3 is almost around 36 Newton, but this is not the answer because I have rounded off here. We have to take it as 9.8. So while calculation, please calculate the exact answer. So we have got the value of T3. Okay. Now let's come to the second block. This is M2. Yes, Nabila, can you tell me what all forces are acting on this M2?
T2
Where? T2
upwards.
upwards. Yes. Then
MG
mg downwards. Anything else?
no.
No.
T3 as well.
T3 also. See, 2 strings are there. What about the tension of this string? This string will also have its tension, and tension is away from the body. So when we are focusing on this, T3 will be like this. Okay. So when we are having the free body diagram of the second block, it's a very good question because it gives a very good practice of this free body diagrams and the equation solving and all. Mass was 2 kg. This is T2 acting. This is mg, and here we have T3 also acting. Hafsa, can you tell me the equation? The whole system is still accelerating upwards with 2 meter per second square. Yes, Hafsa.
T2
T2, then
plus T3
minus T3
minus mg
minus mg
is equal to ma.
is equal to ma. Very good. Yes, she is right. See, acceleration is acting upwards. Whatever forces are acting upwards, they will only be positive. So T2 is acting upwards, it is positive. T3 mg downwards, so negative. Now we know T3, we know mg, we know ma. T2 can be calculated easily. So minus, let's say 36. This will again be 2 into 9.8 only. So please calculate it precisely. 2 into 2. So T2 will become 36 plus almost 20. This is 2 into 9.8. So this will be 19 point something. So 20 I'm taking, and plus this already 4. So what is this? This will be 36 plus 24. So T2 is equal to 60. Yes? 60. Now this is T2. So T2 also we have got. Now coming to M1 block. Yes, Ikra, can you tell me what are the forces acting on T1?
T2.
Which force is acting? And may I mention the direction also, Ikra? One force is visible in the question itself. Tell me that force. Try, Ikra.
T2.
T2 will act, yes. Where will T2 act? Upwards, downwards?
Upwards.
No. This T2, tension is always away from the body. Okay, this T2 was for this, so it is away. When you're talking about this block, tension will be away. So away means it will be like this. So this will be T2, right? Anything else? T1 will be acting upwards. One more force. Ikra.
T1.
T1 is there, T1 is there, T2 is there. Apart from T1 and T2, any other force? Okay, look at the other free body diagrams. Do you think you're missing on one of the forces? No. This is the
Ground.
block. Yes, Ikra?
The mg.
mg, correct. mg will also be active. Yes, now you're right. 5 kg is there. Here we have T1. Downwards we have mg and downwards we have T2 also acting. And the entire system is accelerating upwards with an acceleration of 2 meter per second square. Yes, Sanidhi.
Madam, T3 is not active.
T3 is already included in T2. Look, we've
Okay,
already
okay.
added. If you start from T1, if I started from this, then I had to include T3 also, and then M1 plus M2 plus M3G. That would have been very, very difficult. So that's why I say start from the free end. So you are already included. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Sanidhi, can you tell me the equation?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, T1 minus T2 minus mg is equal to ma.
Yes, perfect. T1 minus T2 minus mg is equal to ma. Now see, T2 is already holding all the reaction forces from below. So we have included it from here. So T1 minus 60 minus 5 into 9.8 is equal to 5 into 2. Now see class, I am rounding it off for solving, but you are writing, please make sure that you are solving it with 9.8 only. So this will be minus 60, T minus 50 is equal to, this will be 10. So T1 will be 60 plus 50 plus 10. So T1 will be almost equal to 120 Newton. Okay, so these are the cases when the bodies are accelerating upward. So this is the whole answer for the first part. Now let's come to the second part. Whole system is stationary. So what will be the difference? Difference will be that the upward force will be balancing the downward force. I'll write it here itself, so it will be a little clear when I'm writing. The second part, look, acceleration is 0 in this case. Means when we're talking about this bottom one, T3, if it said the system is stationary, then look class, this T3 will be balancing mg. Then you don't have to think of minus switch force, plus switch force, nothing. Straight away, upward force will be balancing downward force, that's it. Zero acceleration means body is at rest. If I'm sitting right now, so it means my normal reaction, my weight, they both are balanced. mg is balancing the normal reaction, that's why I'm sitting. So these are the forces that balance themselves when the bodies are stationary. So you just have to equate T3 will be directly equal to mg. T3 will be equal to 3 into 9.8. So which is almost, I'm writing it as 30 Newton. So see, this is the difference. 36 and 30. So body is moving a different force. Let's see this part. If acceleration here is 0. So T2 will balance the downward forces, T3 plus mg. You don't need to have any acceleration in your system, just upward forces balancing the downward forces. Or if it is right left, then rightward forces balancing the leftward forces. Or outward forces balancing the inward forces. Means opposite forces will be balancing. That's why the system is not moving. Just keep it in mind. Suppose I am taking a pulley mass system, so that's why we are getting this. If a car is accelerating or a block is being pushed, so same theory you have to apply. This force will balance this force. Okay, so this will be very easy. This will be simply T3 was 30. Now you don't take this 36. You have to take this T3 that you have calculated when the system is stationary. Plus this is almost 20. So this is almost 50 Newton. So a huge gap we are getting now. See, gap will increase now because this is holding the mass of T3 as well. So now the gap will increase. Okay, Nabila, go and come. And the last one is this T1, if acceleration is equal to 0, T1 will balance mg plus T2. So T1 will balance, mg will be almost 50, T2, what did we get? 50. So see, now the gap is more, this is 100 meters. Okay. On that side only I've written the answer of the second part. So you can write it simultaneously, you can write it one after the other, however you wish to. So if you want to write one after the other, so let me know. After this, I'll scroll up back. Okay. Please write it down. Then let's start with pseudo force. It's a very important topic. Everybody has done?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
No, Aisha. Aisha, just tell me what are your subjects that you have?
PCIB.
PC,
PCIB.
PCIB.
IP.
What is I?
I is IP. Informatics practices.
Okay. IP, computer science. Okay,
Yeah.
so PCM, you are a PCM student.
PCB.
PCB,
Yeah.
PCB with computers.
IP. Yeah, because we have this thing in our school that if you're not taking math, you're supposed to take IP
Okay.
as a compulsory subject.
Okay. Psychology,
Psychology.
economics.
I also have psychology as well.
You
It's
have
an
psychology as well.
yeah, it's an additional subject.
So 6 subjects are there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the marks of the 6th subject will also be added, so or it will be taken in case if a person fails in any of the subject.
No, it is added as well.
It is added as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So IP and psychology must be fine then.
IP is a bit confusing. There's
I-
like Python and everything.
Okay. So is it just IP or a particular C++ or something?
No, it's Python. There are like 4 units: Python and then SQL.
Complete IP, information practice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Aisha, what are your plans then after class?
Medical.
Medical, NEET?
Yeah.
Still, Aisha, foresee if you were targeting IIT, you had mathematics and also HC Verma was fine. Don't try, okay? Don't go for HC Verma. It will be very confusing. Whatever you will study, you will just forget. The things are very concisely written in HC Verma. Okay, you should have asked, why did you get it? For NEET, I would have suggested you the books.
Wow, so much books.
One more student in your batch is already attending the NEET one. Maha, she's absent today. So I told her also, don't buy HC Verma for if you're planning to attempt NEET. It will be very confusing for you right now in class 11th. You're in 11th, no? Even in class 12th, I won't say HC Verma. Okay, it has all the concepts for IIT. It's better for JEE exams. NEET pattern is different. Though the exam this year, the paper was tough, but that doesn't mean you will start practicing HC Verma. There are different books. First, Aisha, practice the previous year questions book. First, practice all the previous year's questions. If you are left with time, then go for such books. Okay? Don't go for it right now, Aisha. Just keep it. If you have bought it, then just have it with you. Keep it in the cupboard right now. Don't practice it because it will affect your class 11th. Okay, have the basics very well. I'll tell you the NEET paper that came this year, this wasn't so tough. Problem was that the basics were there, only the basics concepts were there from your NCRT. But the paper was very lengthy. So that's why students faced issue. It's not that you'll practice tough books and you'll be able to score them. You keep your basics fine. I'll show you most of the papers are how are they connected from your NCRT and not just from for your physics. Even in biology, the questions that are tough, that come tough, they are from most of the questions are from your NCRT. When you open your bios textbook, the first page that you get, which has the information about the author, isn't it there one page before you move into the chapter?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
before every unit you have this page,
Yeah.
Robert
There are
Coach and
5.
all. Yes.
Yeah.
So from there the questions come, which seem as if they are from out of NCRT. They are from there. And then when you open the page before every chapter, there's a descriptive page. What is
Yeah.
there? From there also the questions have come, and this year one question came from there only. So similarly in physics and in chemistry's paper is always from NCRT and the difficulty level is always moderate. Organic chemistry, class 12th and all these come. In class 11th or 12th, see major portion is from 12th. So don't waste time in HC Verma and all. Practice the basics first. Get your basic concept clear. You will be able to manage the questions because after class 12th, you will get a time. At least for NEET, we have a month. For JEE, we don't have time. And one exam is in the month of Jan, another is in April. Before your boards are ended, you just have to appear for the exam. So you will get time, Aisha. So once your basics and everything are done, then you attempt those books. These books are very good books. HC Verma is a very excellent book. But right now at this level, it will confuse you. First, you target your weekly tests, your assignments. If you need help, you can join the NEET batch. There you will get the guidance about NEET. But don't attempt these. Or if you want any material, let us know. If you want the previous year book, we can help you with that. And this is for all of you. Just attempt your class 11th properly. Once 11th class is secured, you'll be able to manage well in the NEET paper. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
And
So other than
Nabila,
this,
yes, other than this
so
previous year,
okay, only that.
34
And no other.
years. Yes, 34 years you have for NEET. 34 years is fine, because earlier we used to have in India AIPMT. NEET wasn't there, means the papers of was different for every state here. So that's why AIPMT was there. There the questions level was fine. So the questions are good that are there from 2002 to 2010. So that's why I say 34 years book is fine. You practice that, Aisha. Okay, after practicing everything from here. And if you have any doubts, let me know. I'll help you with that. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. I was saying, Nabila and Sanidhi, draw the free body diagrams in your homework. This homework which you've shared of the pulley assignment. Free body diagrams are missing. And Sanidhi, you have managed to draw few body diagrams, but they're looking as if they are the rough diagrams in the corner somewhere here and there. You have adjusted them. Draw free body diagram properly as a part of a step, as if this is one of the steps. Like we write statements in word problems, consider statement in the derivations. Take this as a step. You will be marked for this, because the topic free body diagram will not come separately. Show me the free body diagram of this figure. This won't come like this. It will be merged within these questions. So you will be judged on this. Suppose this is a string, one edge of a pulley, one hand of a pulley. Then you will be judged upon all of these. And this is not just for Nabila and Sanidhi, everybody. Free body diagrams you have to draw separately. You have to show the forces that are acting. First point that is helpful is that you will be awarded on this. Means marks are given based on your pulley, based on your free body diagrams. Means half mark will be cut, 1 mark can be cut. It depends on your teacher. So one thing is that they have scores. Second is that it actually helps to solve the questions very well. In fact, I cannot solve most of the questions without drawing the free body diagram. It becomes difficult if I see the questions. Like if I have to solve this T3, now it will be very difficult to contain T3 and then T2 in one. So from free body diagram, it's very clear. Okay, these forces downwards, these upwards make the equation very well. Questions also become easy. Okay. Yes, Sanidhi, Nabila, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just draw it. It will be helpful. Yes, class, there is a concept of pseudo force. Like I was mentioning to Aisha that many things are not given directly in your NCERT in all the books. And these are very old books. These NCERTs, I don't know why aren't they being renewed, and the old data is not removed, new data is not put in there. But most of your NCERT books will have the concepts hidden. So I don't think so in your school this topic will be taught separately or not. There's a concept of pseudo force. Now, pseudo force is a concept which is a part of your class 11th, and this is not something for NEET or JEE students. Actually, NCERT, what does it do? In physics especially, not just in physics, in chemistry and bio also NCERT does this. It doesn't give the topic as a separate heading in the content. It will give you a very tough question, especially in physics, additional questions. There, a new concept will be hidden there. So one of the concepts is pseudo force. It won't be there as a specific topic. In some schools, it may be taught to you, and in some it may not be taught. Okay. So if it isn't, so don't think that you have to leave it. It will come in the form of numericals. It's there in the form of one question is there, and because of which we have to study this. So you don't have to study it in so detail, but see, just randomly understanding it and randomly just applying it is very difficult. You'll never be able to manage it, and you'll never be able to identify. So let me brief you what is pseudo force. But again, I'm saying if you try to find a separate heading in your NCERT, or you're trying to find it in your syllabus, directly pseudo force you'll not be able to see. But pseudo force is a part of your class 11, which is mentioned in the CBSE's syllabus also. Now, when I started with the kinematics part, I told you about the frame of reference concept. If you remember, place of observation, I gave you an example that a person is standing on the platform. He sees two persons in a train moving. And for the person A who is standing on the ground, the person B appears to be in motion because the train is in motion. But the person C who is sitting in front of the passenger B seems that the person B is at rest, because Both of them are sitting inside the train. So remember that example, frame of reference.
Yeah, ma'am.
Others also, Hafsa, Ikra. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
See, why is that important is, see, when the person A was there, who I am talking about, the person who was standing on the ground stationary, and the train is moving. So when your observer is at a frame where the other frame is moving, but your observer is not part of that moving frame, is what is known as inertial frame that we constantly talked about. When I talked about that pulley problem right now, or any questions that we did till the last class, we never had any of the observers sitting on the pulley. On the pulley, in the sense that you don't have the observer sitting on one of the blocks and the observer is also moving. This never happened. Every question was in a manner. Don't think that this isn't possible, that's why this isn't there. Just imagine in terms of observation, observer. Every question was in a manner as if everything is happening and we are observing from our end. If I'm standing here, then I'm seeing, okay, mg will be acting downwards, n will be acting upwards. So those frames are inertial frame. If let's say I'm talking about anything, let's say that example that I gave you of the person who is standing on the ground. He is stationary. He is at rest. He is not moving. But the train is moving. So that train moving, this whole system will be called as the inertial frame. Because your frame is at rest, we don't consider the person moving. If this person is within the train, then we call it as a non-inertial frame. Now, whatever Newton's laws we have studied, whatever Newton's laws, first, second, third, all of these are valid in the inertial frame. But as soon as we talk about the non-inertial frame, Newton's laws are invalid. Okay, Newton's laws are invalid. So this means if I give you an example of inertial and non-inertial frame, think it like this, class. And if there's any doubt, please ask me right now only so that it becomes clear. Otherwise, this topic, you will not find it again and again. So it's better if you clarify it right now. One example is, let's say somebody is there in a car. Okay, both the persons are sitting in the car. Okay, the car is moving. Now we are calculating the velocity of the car. We'll be able to calculate the velocity very easily. Whatever equations we have studied, Newton's laws can be applied. F is equal to ma will give us the force also. So all these things can be calculated. So this is our inertial frame. We say, okay, we are observing it at a point that the frame isn't moving. Let's say, let me give you an example first here. Let me take the elevator man problem. Okay. Whatever problem, let's say this is the elevator man problem, or let's say in this elevator, a block has been kept or a mass has been hung. Let's say this is a mass that is hung over here. M is there. So what is the force acting here? What are the forces acting here? If I draw the free body diagram, a tension will be acting here. Downwards, mg will act. And let's say the whole entire system is accelerating upwards with some acceleration A. So now we know how to construct our equations here. When I say no, we'll construct the equations, then tension will be positive here, mg will be negative here is equal to ma. That is in the case when, as if a person is there who is stationary, who is at rest, and this person is observing this whole thing. From this perspective, person means observer. Observer means from where you're observing the frame. This doesn't mean somebody is spying on our questions and all. This doesn't mean like this. It means we're talking about from where we are observing. Whenever you do experiments, whenever you have anything related to science, you have some observing place. From the perspective we are observing, we construct our boundaries. So that is what is meant by this. An observer is there as if an observer is there standing on the ground who is not moving and observing the things. Now, if I make the equations, the equation should be straight away here. The equation that should be formed will be T minus mg is equal to ma. Yes, this is the equation that we'll get. T minus mg is equal to ma. Or if I write T is equal to mg plus ma, this is what I get. Now, if I make a small change here,
Ma'am, what if in any question acceleration is not given in direction of acceleration?
If
So
direction is
halving
not given, then you have
of
to see
acceleration.
which force is greater. If mg is greater or tension is greater, then in that case check that. Okay.
Okay.
See the same system I'm saying. Now I'm saying same thing. The lift is accelerating upwards with an acceleration. And pay attention here, class. Now I say this person who was standing outside and observing this thing. Now I say this person is here. Now the acceleration of the person cannot be zero. Here the velocity was zero, acceleration was zero. Why won't it be zero? Because if elevator is moving, this person will also move. That's it. Here I cannot say the acceleration is zero. I cannot say, because if acceleration is existing, we will not have the equation same. What will happen? Here the tension is acting upwards, mg is acting downwards. This is it. But now I cannot write this equation. Why? Why can't I write the same equation? This equation was valid if the frame is accelerating upwards. Now this person is here, and according to us, we make the observer at rest. We say we have the observer at rest and the observer is there. This is contradicting to this fact. This means this says that according to this person, now this system's acceleration A will not be considered. Why? Why won't it be considered? See, when we put our observer inside the elevator, will the observer actually see the block moving up? Or he will see that the block is at rest? What do you think? Rest or movement?
Rest.
Rest. Very good. If this is at rest means according to him, this system, okay, entire system is accelerating with an acceleration A, but this system currently has no acceleration because inside the elevator, when both of them are moving, he sees, okay, this is at rest, continuously it is at rest. When he was outside, he could see it was moving up, but right now it is at rest. So what's our equation? T is equal to mg. Both the equations are not matching, but it is the exactly same case. Same mass, same tension, mg, acceleration also same. I haven't changed any value. So problem is that I am doing something that is being violated here. This is what this is known as the inertial frame. This frame is known as the inertial frame, where our observer is outside and the rest of the system is moving. This is what is called as inertial frame. Now here the Newton's laws of motion, they are valid. So the first law, second law, this is the application of the second law, F naught is equal to ma, which we write. Then action, reaction, third law, then inertia overcoming, all these are valid. So it means this is correct. This is completely correct. But why is this incorrect? Because I have applied something that is violated. This is a non-inertial frame. This is known as a non-inertial frame, where your observer is a part of the frame. The entire frame is moving. The entire frame is moving. So this is called as a non-inertial frame. And here I cannot use the Newton's laws of motion. That's why I'm getting a wrong answer here. Directly, through the example only, we are getting the wrong answer. I didn't need to even put the data. I'm directly getting a wrong answer. So this is wrong. This one was actually right. Because this is an inertial frame where Newton's laws can be applied. First, tell me, inertial and non-inertial frame is clear to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. One confusion can be there in one of the batch, one of the students asked that if the person was outside also here, or if anyone is there, Earth is rotating. So technically, it's also a non-inertial frame because Earth is rotating. So even if you're standing on the ground and observing a vehicle move, the Earth is rotating. So you are also in a rotating frame. So that is right. It will be a non-inertial frame, but the rotation of the Earth is so slow in comparison to its mass that it doesn't affect any of our calculations. Everything remains fit in. So that's why, though, like if I'm sitting here, I am at rest according to me, but Earth is rotating, so I'm also rotating. We all are rotating at different places. We are there, and we all are sitting. According to us, we are at rest. But when the Earth is rotating, so we are also rotating. Why aren't we able to feel the rotation? Gravitation is balancing the normal reaction. We are not moving along the y-axis. We are the Earth's mass is so huge, it is so huge that this rotation is negligible in terms of our mass. If I take my mass, if I take your mass, even if I add all of the students' mass who are present here, that would be just zero in front of the mass of Earth. So that's why we take it as an inertial frame only, despite it being accelerating or rotating. Got this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Now, who will have biology with them? Bio students? Aisha has. Nabila?
Yes, ma'am, me
Hafsa.
too.
Okay, Kara also.
have. I also have.
Yes, bio students will tell me what is the meaning of the term pseudo.
Ma'am, I also have.
Okay, all of you are PCB students here. Hafsa, okay. Yes, so what's the meaning of the term pseudo?
Divide,
What, Nabila?
so like divide or separation.
Divide or separation. Anyone else?
Ma'am, what is the question?
What is the meaning of this term? Pseudo.
False.
False. Pseudopodia. This, I think everybody must have studied. Pseudo
yeah.
means false. Yes, Hafsa, you're right. See, pseudo means false. So here also, it's a pseudo force. It means it's a false force. That is, it is not an actual force which is existing, not a real force which is present, but a concept has been built in order to apply the Newton's forces. So that where Newton's laws are invalid, we can apply the Newton's law. There's a concept of pseudo force. So what is a pseudo force? See, a pseudo force, also known as a fictitious force. Why fictitious? Because it is false. The term, the meaning of the meaning of this term pseudo means only false. So when you're talking about false, that means it is not actually existing. So this pseudo force, it's a fictitious force, is an apparent force that arises when describing motion from a non-inertial. Non-inertial means accelerating or rotating frame of motion, means the body is moving, your frame is moving. So it's not a real force in the sense that it doesn't arise from an interaction between objects, but rather from the acceleration of the reference frame itself. Because the frame is moving, so that acceleration we consider. For example, when elevator accelerates upwards, a person feels heavier due to pseudo force acting downwards. Now, what we'll do, a pseudo force acts in the direction opposite to acceleration. Where was the acceleration of the frame occurring? Upwards. What we'll do, we'll take a force and we'll add it downwards. Let's say this was the lift's case. This was the mass. And we said the person is here and the system is accelerating with acceleration A. And we said tension is acting, downwards mg is acting. What you do, wherever the acceleration is acting upward in the body, whose free body diagram you have constructed or you're talking about, you draw a pseudo force. How did I decide that it will be downwards, not upwards? Because it is opposite to acceleration. Okay? This part is clear. Where will you situate this?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Formula of the pseudo force is very simple. Formula says that the pseudo force is equal to mass of the body into acceleration of the system. This is the formula. Direction formula. Now let's apply. So this is at rest according to our observer, no? Here acceleration is 0. So what did we do? We just put a force, a pseudo force in the opposite side to that of acceleration. Now see, we can say upward forces will balance the downward forces. So tension will balance the pseudo force plus mg. So see, pseudo force is what? Mass of the body. What is the mass of the body? M. What is the acceleration of the system? Means the frame, A plus mg. Are we getting the correct answer now? mg plus ma? mg plus ma. Yes? Got it?
Yeah, ma'am.
Others, did you understand this whole concept of pseudo force?
Yes.
But ma'am, this man is in the elevator, ma'am.
What, Hafsa?
To explain that if the man is in the elevator,
Yes.
then the equation is wrong. But how this is
The
correct?
equation is wrong. Yes.
So how this is right? This equation.
This is right because there's the concept of pseudo force. Okay. See, without the
Okay.
pseudo force, you are getting the wrong answer. That's why we have the pseudo force. Now, these must have been done experimentally, and how that I also don't know how this was originated. But whenever you add pseudo force in your system, then you can apply the Newton's law as it is. Without this, you couldn't. Like this was a non-inertial frame. We were applying the pseudo force. Our answer was wrong. We were applying the Newton's laws. Our answer was wrong. Now, in this case, we applied the pseudo force. If you put the pseudo force, it's like a solution. You keep the pseudo force and then you solve everything as if you as it is you have studied. Here, T was equal to mg. Answer was wrong. But if you put this Fp, now your answer is coming correct. So that's why we have this whole concept of pseudo force. That's what I told you. Pseudo force is not a real force. It wasn't there. But this is a force that we have mathematically. It's like a mathematical solution to our calculation. Like
Okay.
in many times in physics or maths, we assume a hypothesis. So this is not a real force. You will not have its existence. But the reason is that this is a mathematical force which is used so as to apply the Newton's law correctly. So whenever you have this, whenever you apply this force, your answer will become correct. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, anyone else is asking anything? Aniti, you've understood? Ikra?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Please write it then. We'll start with friction.
Okay, scroll it a bit up. Okay, scroll.
Done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let's come to friction. From pseudo force, 2 questions I'll give you. Try it once. One will be of NCERT. Other one is from a smooth question that came. So, talking about the friction force, everybody knows what exactly is a friction force. It's a very common force that you have been studying it from your 8th class. So it's basically an opposing force. Opposing force means a force that is acting in the opposite direction to that of motion. And not just opposite direction to that of motion, it opposes the motion also, means it resists the motion. It will act as a barrier in the smooth flow of the vehicles or anything that is moving. So it's a term is given for friction. This term is given often for friction. Necessary evil. Friction is a necessary evil. So what I'll do, I'll give it in writing. What are the necessary part of friction and what are the disadvantages of it? So that we'll do it in the next class. I'll just write it before so that time isn't wasted. Necessary means here whatever thing is there in the system that is stable, that is being balanced, and that comes to rest is one of the major factor is friction force. When a ball is rolling over the ground, the friction force acts and the body stops. And evil because it's a dissipative force. If you take your palms, you rub them together like this. After a certain time, you'll notice the palms are little warm. Reason is that the friction force acts. So it's an evil in the sense that this is a dissipative force. You're just losing on heat. And this is just an example of the human body. You just have vehicles that are heated. Many things are there that are heated. Tires are moving on the road and they get heated. And because of that heat, that it can lead to many other things that are not useful for us. But it is very important at the same time. So that's why we say it's a necessary evil. Now it provides resistance to the motion. It's a dissipative force. There are 3 kinds of friction force that you have to study in class 11th. Okay, this is not like your class 8 that you will just have one complete friction force and that is just opposing the motion. Friction force will always act in the opposite direction to that of motion. Just keep this in your mind and your numericals will be solved. If a body is moving towards the right, friction will act towards the left. How will you resist something? If 2 persons in a tug of war, just take the example of tug of war, both of the parties are pulling the rope on the opposite sides. And resulted is what? Sometimes the rope is stagnant, it doesn't move when both the forces are equal, and ultimately it will move on to one of the forces wherever the force was high. Correct? So similar is the case of friction force. So 3 kinds of friction forces are there. One is known as a static friction. Second is known as the limiting friction. And these are very easy. These forces, to understand them, they are very easy. By that name only, you'll be able to remember. And third is kinetic friction. Okay. Now, see, I'll give you an example here. Let's say this is a very big box that is kept. And there are various forces that are being applied onto it. Let's say I apply a force of 2 Newton over here. And the body is still not moving. It's heavy and I'm applying a force of 2 Newton, the body isn't moving. So probable reason for this is that the friction force acts, see the body has a tendency to move towards the right. So friction force of exactly 2 Newton will act on the left side. Okay. Let's say I have increased my force. I increased my force to, let's say, 3 Newton. Now, again, the body isn't moving. It means the friction force now is acting 3 Newton on exactly the opposite side. So because both the forces are same, so the body is still not moving. Now what I do, I increase the friction. I increase my force, the applied force. Let's say 4 Newton. I'm noticing that the body is still not able to move. It means the friction force must be 4 Newton. That's why it didn't move. Both the forces were balancing. Then finally, I applied a force of 5 Newton. And I noticed the body started to move. It means there must be a friction force acting backwards. Friction force will act in the opposite direction because the body is now moving. So friction force will be there, but it will be less than 5 Newton. This will definitely be less than 5 Newton. Let's say this is some 3.9 Newton. That's why it could overcome it and the body could move. Now, what are these friction forces? These friction forces which we were able to see, these are known as the static friction. When static means only that the body is at rest. So these friction forces act when the body is at rest. It is a self-adjusting force. Details of it we will talk about it in the next class. Time isn't left. Next week we'll discuss. So next week this chapter should be over probably. Now, so force of friction is acting. So this is known as a static friction. It will automatically adjust itself. You increase the force to 3 Newton, it will also increase itself to 3 Newton. It is self-adjusting. It will increase its value. This friction force is known as the static friction, where the body didn't move. Now you will say it didn't move in 4 Newton also. So right, this didn't move in 4 Newton also. But the force that is acting here, 4 Newton, this is the maximum value of the static friction. This is the maximum value of the static friction. Beyond this, the body moved. So this is known as the limiting friction. The highest value of the static friction till which the body is at rest, is about to move. This is your limiting friction. Once the body is in motion, this the force of friction that acts is the kinetic friction. Now, the kinetic friction is acting, and kinetic friction will always be less than the limiting friction. Because in limiting friction, the body didn't move. It means the value of the forces were equal. In kinetic will always be less. That's why it allows the body to move in one direction. If it didn't allow the body to move in one direction, it would have been still 5 Newton. So what is the static friction force? It's the friction that acts on the body at rest. Means body will not move now. It's actual motion has still not started because the body is at rest, and it's a self-adjusting force. What is limiting friction? It's the maximum value of the static friction. Now body is about to move. It didn't move, it is about to move. Last value of the static friction that is possible is your limiting friction. Then you have kinetic friction. What is kinetic friction? It acts when the body is actually moving. Over another body means friction force will always act when two surfaces are there. This I'll tell you in detail when we study the cause of friction. So over another body means anything that is rolling. Car is rolling on the road. The tires are rolling on the ground. So it acts when the body is actually sliding. Actually sliding means now the movement has occurred, and it will always be less than limiting. It will be less. That's why the movement is being allowed in one direction. If I plot this on a graph, look, this is how the graph will look like. From 0, initially the force is increasing along the applied force. Along with the applied force, the force is increasing. What kind of force is this? This is the static friction. Here you have the static friction being applied. Okay, static friction. You increase the applied force, frictional force is increasing. You're increasing the force more, the frictional force is increasing. Then you have the highest value, which is known as the limiting friction. And lastly, a little less value than the limiting friction when the body is in motion. This is your kinetic friction. When will this force occur? When your body has actually started moving. So these are the three kinds of friction that are acting, but are always acting in opposite direction. Now tell me, are these three friction forces clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
ma'am.
Anything you want to ask?